responsibility?
Caring.
For my brother, I feel responsible towards him. So
Taking care of my sister.
It's a given, something I had to learn early on, that my brother is my responsibility.
Commitment.
Confusing, sometimes it's tiring, but sometimes you'd like to take responsibility.
Just something that comes, it's become a natural instinct at this point. Like, as soon as I see my sister doing something that maybe I know she's going to get yelled at for, I'll immediately be like, maybe you don't want to do that because mom is probably going to yell at you if you continue to do that. So
The word is sharing.
my parents. I mean, since I was the older sibling, I had to learn to share my parents with not only my younger brother, but also a younger brother who has his special needs. So I had to learn to share my parents with him.
I think of compromise, another thing that I had learned early on and comes very natural to me, that, some things are not always going to go my way, and I need to understand that, and in essence, like, share the needs of my brother with my own.
the first thing that comes to my head is basically everything, because being the younger sibling, I was kind of like born into this also. So it's like everything from the time I was born was shared with my sister, and be it if it's good or bad, we share it together. Like, literally every aspect of my life is something I've been through with her. So be it whether it's good or bad.
I think that also is a part of, any sibling relationship, especially the younger sibling.
Problems. Whenever me or Reed is facing a problem, I think the other one is always ready to help. For example, if I'm having some problem with like schoolwork, I'm unable to complete something, so he'll try to help me, although that may not always work, but at least he'll try.
Snacks. My own snacks. I have to literally hide it in my cupboard.
I think when I think about sharing, it is to share more of my time with my sister, because I'm a little older and I'm in college, but still I have to find more time to be with her, to help her with whatever she needs.
Future. I love all the expressions, even before the answers came up. Yes, Sudhir, go ahead.
I think this is something which I've been doing a lot recently, and even some of my close friends have begun to notice that. Is that whenever I think of a career or any particular venture, like anything personal that I'm doing, I try to think about my sister as well, to possibly see, how can she fit in, how will she manage, and possibly I could pass it on to her if things go well, something like that. So there's something I keep doing.
Honestly, the future is uncertain. Like, since the past 2 years, I think 1 to 2 years, I started to think a lot about making a good career for me, which would pay me well, so that I can support him as well, because I don't know what the future holds and I want to be safe just in case. Like, my parents have been like, that we'll make him independent. You don't have to worry for that, but I still do. So I want to be able to support him if need arises.
Go ahead.
I completely agree with Varnik. It's probably the same for me. Like, it's unexpected, but you're thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. Has this changed in the past year? I mean, has it sort of come more into focus for you guys after this COVID thing happened?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Honestly, like, I think probably the first word that would come to my mind is fearful, because I resonate with what Vadnika also said, and also with Sudhir, because I'm constantly thinking about, what if the career that I end up wanting to do is not something that's going to pay me well enough to be able to support my sister in the future? And what if, like, in the future, people come and go into my life and they don't support my sister? And in that case, what do I do? And like, what about, like, I don't even know like what my future is going to look like if she's not there. And the thought of that just scares me so much.
For me, it's like the fear of choosing a career path that will separate me from my brother, because I feel the need to always be there for him and look out for him in his life. So sometimes I feel like if I might make selfish choices. So yeah, I always have to take his uh, life and his future into consideration when I'm thinking about my own future.
So, are these things you talk to somebody about? And if you do, who's your person of choice?
I often share it with my best friend, like she's been with me through my thick and thin. So I often tell things to her, but of course not everything. A lot of it is still inside me. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people will understand this fear because it's so unique. So I think the only person who will get it is my parents, and they always try to reassure me and say that don't worry about this. We will take care of it. They're already planning my brother's future and how he will be looked after. But I still can't help but worry and fear about what I'm supposed to do to help out.
I think the same goes for me. Like, I find that I feel like kind of the opposite, but also the same, because I feel like the people I can't talk about this to are my parents, because I already know what they're going to say. I already know that they're just going to say, no, don't worry. Like, we have a plan in place. We're making the proper arrangements. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. But the thing is I can't help but worry about it. So, I mean, the person, I mean, I don't think I've like entirely shared the way I feel with anybody, but I do share things with, again, my best friend, who she'll like tell me to just forget about it. She'll just be like, don't think about it, it's fine, like you'll be fine.
Same. I also agree with everyone. My own parents also keep saying that, why are you worrying about it? Let's just focus on the present, And like they're saying that before they, leave, they will make sure that arrangements are there for them for him, and I usually don't share it with anyone, but I think I share it with only my mom. So yeah.
Sometimes people, when you explain it to your best friends, then they may misinterpret things, and that's because that's natural, because they don't necessarily have the same experiences that we have. So that's where I try to explain that this is not something, it is as much as a responsibility that I'm doing, planning my career and planning my future and relationships and stuff with my sister in mind, but also out of a lot of affection for my sister, because we're siblings, and that's where there's a very thin distinguishing line between having a special needs sibling and a regular sibling.
I do talk about it with my friends and my parents as well, but constantly my parents are like, don't worry about it, it's fine, we're doing everything we can and you don't need to do anything. But well, I can't help but worry about it. Like, just the thought of the future like actually makes me worried.
So, what I'd like to point out here is, did you all notice that all of you have the same thoughts regarding this topic? Yeah. So, I think what we are driving towards is, while this is something, which your best friend may not understand, parent already is so involved in their own way in this problem that they may not be able to support your thoughts on it. So, it might be very useful to actually get together and share it with each other, because here you go, you're a whole bunch of people, you have a lot of things in common, and the biggest thing is you understand, right? So this, I think, is what we're exactly talking about when we talk about a support group, right? It is just, you don't reach out for help only when the problem gets really bad and you need to get it out there. If all of you choose to just get on a call once in, say, a couple of weeks and just share, right? And when you're sharing a problem and you have a whole bunch of people who are saying, I understand, right? I understand where you're coming from. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? You just want somebody to hear you out without giving you solutions, without giving you a judgment, right? Or without saying, listen, stop, this is pointless, right? You can't stop and you just need somebody to sort of hear you out, right? So I think that's going to be the biggest use of having a sibling network. Yeah.
Undefined. There is no definition. I never know what's. I mean, I don't know how to express it right now, but if I talk about my personal space, it gets violated a lot, if I may use the word violated over here. But I don't really have my things. It's like if my brother wants it, then he gets it. That's it. But the vice versa is not applicable. Like if like if I want what he wants, then obviously he'll win. I think it's a lot to do with the age factor also, since I mean he's just 8, he's not even 8 and I'm 15, so I'm supposed to be the mature one. But yeah, I think space is rather undefined.
Anything that I have is also his. Like that's I can't put like a do not disturb sign on my door. That's like that will never happen.
I think, firstly, in the Indian culture only, this thing known as space is not existing, and yeah, with our own siblings, and if I, the thing with me is even when I have to attend classes, so then I would tell him ki, Sachin, I'm in class, so I would probably, maybe I'd have to probably lock the door or something so that he doesn't come again and again, because I tend to get distracted easily. So that is why, and that way I think we ourselves also have to enforce that space for our own emotional needs as well. Yeah.
Same. I find that space is like pretty non-existent in my house. I mean, my parents try their best to give me that, but sometimes like the room just isn't enough. Like there's a point, like I'll be in my classes or something and then I'll explicitly say, like I'll scream from upstairs and be like, I'm writing a test, nobody come bother me. My sister will purposefully walk into the room and like spend like half an hour looking at books just to like annoy the crap out of me. Like I guess that's a thing with every sibling, but I think emotionally also, although my parents try and give me that, sometimes I just need a little bit more. And I mean, I don't really blame them. They get annoyed if I get annoyed. Like sometimes I just have a lot of emotions and I just get annoyed, and they get annoyed when I get annoyed because I'm not supposed to get annoyed. So it's just like a cycle that just keeps going on and on.
Yeah.
I think we all feel the same thing. Like privacy is basically non-existent. You don't have it. And whenever I think like the same case happens with me, I'm writing my school test. I'm on a call, and suddenly my brother barges through the door, and then he's just running around the room. And well, I can't do anything about it. Like if I shout at him or do anything, like I mean, even I feel bad about it that I'm shouting at my brother. He's come into my room. So I think it's the same for all of us.
Yep, especially when they're having like a meltdown or a huge tantrum, there's only so much you can do. Like even when you need the space, like sometimes you can't control it.
As I agree with every single one of the panel speakers that there is no space, but more often than not, we have, as a family, found to create some spaces between us. So if one of us is a little upset, then we just separate. We, go for a walk, leave two others behind, and then switch places, and basically just embracing that this is a problem and there's very little we can do about it. So let's try our best to fix it and address it in as simple a way as possible.
What I feel when I have to introduce my sibling to a new friend. Okay, so have you all taken a look at each other's? Saying, did you all notice? You gave exactly the same expression. Yeah, that's really very interesting. I have made plans to go out with my friends, and I am asked to take my sibling along. Yes, again, pretty much the same set of emotions happening. My sibling gets more attention from my parents. I'm told not to bother with my sibling and to go live my own life. When my parents are stricter with me than with my sibling. Yes, that was the last of the scenarios I have. Now, let me ask this again. Are these emotions you express either to your parents or to somebody around you?
Mostly I do because it's like me and my parents have a very open relationship with each other. And
I think there comes a point where sometimes my parents will react very fast and they will be like, no, like, that's not true. And I'm just like, it kind of is. So I have to discuss it with them in a private forum away from my sister, because otherwise she will also start saying such things to my parents when my parents are trying to teach her what's right and wrong. So I find that discussing it in a private forum or with one parent who will then communicate it to the other one is much easier for me.
I share it sometimes. Like it depends on the situation. If she's uh, like not angry and if she's like in normalcy mood or like happy, then I would share.
For me also, yes and no sometimes, depending on the situation. Sometimes I feel like if I complain, I'm just adding on to my mother's, stress levels, and I don't want to do that sometimes, especially when the situation is very fragile. So in those situations, I usually keep it in.
So, given that all of you were sharing pretty much the same emojis and you're expressing the same emotions, do you think it would be useful to talk in a group like this regularly?
I think
definitely it would help
yes.
a lot.
Yes,
Extremely
yes,
useful, I
yes.
think.
It's about realizing that it's important to reach out for support when things are easy, when things are relatively easy, right? Because there will be a point when it gets tougher, right? When you actually come to your career choice, when you come to choosing a life partner or something like that, things are going to get more difficult, right? And then when things are difficult, you can't suddenly walk into a forum and start expressing your deepest emotions, right? It's important to do it when things are fine. Correct? Yeah. Any thoughts? Go ahead and share.
Yes, I think sharing it in beforehand just keeps you mentally prepared. You don't feel judged. More often than not, if I try to talk to someone else about this, then there's always this feeling that is this person going to judge me? And if I don't have a very good relationship with that person, then it's always, is this person going to leave me or something like that?
I think it is important to vent when things are getting escalated, and it would. I mean, you would also feel better and a little freer inside, and it's really important to share that way.
Often what happens with me is that most of the times I have the solutions within myself, but if I'm like speaking to somebody, I just realize, oh yes, that can also be done. So I think this forum would give me a platform where I can actually speak and realize things on my own. And I think one of the main things would be to realize that I'm not alone. I mean, there are people who are going through this, so we'll get through this together.
Yeah, I really resonate with what Vatnika said. I think that it's really important to make sure that you don't feel alone in the whole situation, because again, if you try and like talk to a friend about it, they'll help you out a little, but then after a point they'll be like, no bro, this happens in my house also. And I'm like, not really sure that it's the same thing, but okay. And yeah, I do think it is really important to share, at least with people who understand the way you feel, because they've been through the same situation.
I feel the same way. I feel like families who have persons with special needs are doubly ostracized from society. It's already difficult to fit in. having this as well. It's you can very easily feel alone, and like everybody has said, it's very important to choose who you are venting to because they might not always be receptive of it. So a forum like this would be really great because you do feel like you're not alone in how you in what you feel, and you're not the only person who going through the struggles that you're going through.
One assumption my parents always get wrong about me. Yes,
That
go
I'm
ahead.
as innocent and understanding and pure as they see me. I have dark feelings and emotions too, and they think I'm the purest and I'm the purest person around, and I don't get any negative feelings, but that's something which I do. So yeah.
That I don't need support from them or help from them sometimes. They often feel like I'm a pretty independent person. I can do it on my own. I've always been kind of self-sufficient, but that doesn't always mean that I don't need their support, or at least emotionally, I do need them in my life. I think they've gotten used to being on my brothers like beck and call, that it's become like second nature to attend to them. So I often feel I often feel like they feel like I can handle it, but that's not always the case.
They definitely feel that I need a lot of support and I can't help my brother alone. So I feel that that is not the case. Like I can definitely like deal with my problems alone and help my brother at the same time.
They can't give me the support that they think I need. And as soon as I go to them with a problem, they feel this innate need to solve it for me when really all I need is just for them to listen to me. And they think that I don't have social needs, like I don't have the need to like go out with friends and do things like that, because I've never been that kind of a person. But like now that I'm reaching those ages, I do want to go out and spend time with my friends, but I'd like to be able to do that without not feeling guilty that my sister is like at home, you know.
That I should spend more time with my brother, but sometimes we just want to be alone, you know. Sometimes we just want to talk to our friends like for like hours, like other siblings do. But sometimes when also say like if there's a situation happening, right? Like if he's getting too upset, then I'll have to cut the phone abruptly. So then they expect us to kind of give in to that, you know. Yeah.
The expectations are that I should be as close by as possible to be able to help them when they can't handle something, because they feel that more people working on the issue will result in a better outcome.
One thing I wish I didn't have to do in the context of sibling relationship, one thing I wish I didn't have to do.
Sometimes I feel like I don't want to be as cautious and responsible as I am because I feel like I've had to mature a lot. Like for my age, I am, I think, quite like beyond my years. And sometimes I wish I could just be like reckless and do stupid things and be young. Sometimes I feel like I'm not getting to live as youthfully as possible.
It's this age when people are starting to get quite social, like meeting out, like okay, COVID has happened, so definitely not happening. But I think my social life has taken a little bit of backseat. Like if my friend is calling me up at 9 or 9:30, it's supposed to be late and I can't talk to them, and either I have to just like finish up the call in 5 minutes. My social life is very much connected to my family life, and I can often not separate both of them, and I have to choose the family life more often than not. So I think that's definitely a little bit of negative aspect, but
um like for not feeling guilty when I want to do something of my own in my free time, and like sometimes even in terms of giving the medicines, you know, at night to my brother, I don't want to feel anxious, like because I have this thing with time. It really gives me a lot of anxiety. So I don't want to, feel anxious because of those things that involve my brother.
Probably not having too much responsibility, like, and feeling guilty at the same time when, like, for example, if I'm out with my friends, I'm enjoying, but at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about my brother. Like, when I go home, my parents won't be there, or they'll be tired. I'll take care of him. So probably just being carefree. Like, I'd like to do that.
I just wish that there were no strings attached to everything that I do, be it social life or feel like I need something of my own sometimes. So I wish I didn't have that.
I think I would like not to feel guilty when I'm with my friends and the fact that I have friends. Like, my brother turns 8 next month and he doesn't really have friends. So, and I am a very outgoing and social person. Like, um, I'm a complete extrovert. I love talking and I love making new friends. But the fact that perhaps my brother would never feel the joy of having friends, having people to talk to at all times of the day. And basically, like, I don't like to talk to my friends when he's around because I don't want him to feel that he's missing out on stuff and that his sister is enjoying it. So I, I mean, I just don't want to feel guilty for having friends and having my social life. So if I could get rid of that guilt, it would be like really cool.
I think, yeah, I agree with what she says, but I think there's also this sort of academic pressure as well for you to do well in school because of the fact that our siblings have different capabilities and they might not be extremely academically advanced too. Like, I know my parents are like really chill when it comes to that stuff, and they're very like, just do your best. If that's not enough, that's fine, we'll work something out. But I often find myself putting all this pressure on myself to submit assignments on time, do well in tests, do well in exams, like pull through. And I sometimes I just feel like I don't see any fruitful reward from that, because I feel like maybe it's something that'll benefit me in the long run, but there's got to be some result now that's like helping me to keep pushing myself, right? So
With what Sanjana said, like even my parents, they're not that academically, like they don't pressurize me in that aspect, but I put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed because I know my brother's future depends on my success, and I need to provide for him in the future, and I need to build a future not only for me but for my brother. So
If for a day you played the role of your parent, mom or dad, what would you do differently?
I really don't know what I would do differently. I don't even know if I'll be able to handle it. Like, our parents take so much responsibility. Like, I can't even think about it. Like, if I actually think about it, it's like, how can they do so much at the and do other things at the same time? Like, when you're thinking about it, it feels very weird that I have such little work and yet I'm not able to deal with it, and they're doing so much.
I totally agree with that. Like, I don't think there's anything I would change. Like, sure, there are some things which I'm like, this shouldn't be happening. Or, sure, I do crib about a lot of stuff which happens, but I don't know any better. I mean, I think they're doing a fantastic job at raising both me, like dealing with me and my brother at the same time. So, like, kudos to them. There's nothing I would like to change.
yeah, I think especially our parents, because we're all teenagers and then we also have older siblings, it's like you're dealing with teenage emotions and on top of that, your siblings. But definitely, I feel like my parents have my sister's well-being so much so in mind that occasionally they'll forget what she wants. So my sister is a huge fan of junk food, but they don't let her eat any of that because it's not good for her. So probably the one thing I would do would be let her eat as much junk food as she wants because it's just for a day.
I agree with the same sentiment that they are basically superheroes and they're doing an amazing job. But I wish they would focus more on themselves and have more of a, focus on their own social life and their own needs and their own desires to relax and wind down. Because because their well-being translates to our well-being as well.
I think it's there would be nothing to change. Just I mean, otherwise they're doing like an amazing job of how, it's really difficult firstly to raise someone with special needs, and because they do so much of sacrifice for their son or daughter with special needs. And I think I always do personally also tell my mom, ki mom, I think you should also put your emotional needs first here, because if we are not like happy or mentally fine, then how can we help other people. So yeah, basically focus on my own self as well.
I think for me, I'd have to change that they're very protective of me, like overprotective of me and my sister, and that's sometimes inhibited certain opportunities from being taken advantage of, be it internships for me or in some sort of camp or something, or even going to a friend's house for a sleepover where me and my sister can actually go. So I feel that maybe be less overprotective, but otherwise, it's very challenging to take care of a normal. I mean, normal is the wrong word, but a neurotypical and a neurotypical child. So I feel they're doing a great job, but just change that one bit.
One thing I wish my friends understood about my situation.
Oh, I wish that they understood that I have time restrictions, that I can't stay out with them uh, for hours on end. I can't just pick up a call at 8 in the night. I can't just. There are many restrictions that uh, are just inbuilt with me, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, same. I can't be like spontaneous. I always need to have a plan because, without a proper structure or plan, this household will not function. So, yeah.
One of mine would definitely be, again, the time restrictions and all that, and the spontaneity. Like I'll be like outside or something, and I'll realize that it's time for me to go home, and my friends will be like, "Bro, just call your mom and tell her that you'll be out for like another hour." No, I'll just be like, "Bro, I can't do that." Like my parents would not allow that, and that's like it. It offers a sort of obstruction for so many other plans, you know. So yeah, that's definitely one.
Definitely, I agree with everyone here. It's the same thing.
That my friends would be more, understanding of how I also feel, because personally, I think it's not that easy to be a sibling to one with um, special needs. Uh, it really sometimes can take an emotional toll. So, yeah.
I think definitely everything that they all said about the restrictions and not being spontaneous enough. I think there are some two things I would like to add more. One thing would be to not compare their family life with my family life, because the fights or the arguments that happen in their house are drastically different from what happened in my house. Like the compromises I have to make or my parents have to make are very different from what their family has to make. Not saying that they're having it easy, but we definitely having it different. And trying to draw a parallel just gets annoying. That please, it's different. Like then the second would be um like I don't think anybody of them has ever said it, but I do feel it, that they get a little unsettled when they see my quite tall. I mean, he reaches my shoulder. So this really big boy shouting or screaming when somebody's over, and when he's not talking very age appropriately, as in he's still making those, those sentences are still very baby structured, like, because the thing is that he looks like a regular child, so they don't really understand that there is something which is deep down the surface, like until and unless I tell them. So to those who have not to all those whom I've not told yet, it would be great if you guys like understand it that things are going to be a little weird at my place. So like just adjust to it and don't judge. So yeah.
I think another important one is how my sister and I always come as a package. Like, if you want to be friends with me, you got to be friends with my sister. Or if you don't want to be friends with her, that's fine. Like, just be nice to her. And I feel like that in itself is also very like it's a tough situation to maneuver around because like it's like my sister will purposefully do things so that she can get my friend's attention. Like she will, say things, nothing bad, like very nice things, but she will do things to get that attention from other people. But then like if I have friends over or something like that, it becomes kind of awkward because I'll be wanting to hang out with my friends and then she will be like she's fine being on her own, like she doesn't really have a problem, she'll just say hi to my friends and then she'll hang out with my parents, but they will be like, hey, why don't you come join us, which isn't really a problem for me, but like it just, I feel like there's some sort of tension that maybe might not even be there, but I don't know if I'm feeling it or everybody else is feeling it or they're doing it out of obligation. Like it's very hard to maneuver the emotions and the intentions be like in that particular situation. So
Yes,
Definitely,
I
it
have to
happens with
agree
me a
with
lot.
Sanjana. The tension that my sister's going to do something and my friends are going to see it differently. It's, I'd rather not have them at home. It's like that.
I totally, but the thing is, I feel like they're not also completely to blame because they probably don't have exposure to person, and we have to make more of an effort to spread more awareness. But I definitely wish that my friends would make more of an effort to interact with my sibling and try to, because a lot of my friends were initially very scared because they never met a person on the spectrum before. So yeah, maybe it's something we have to change society, so how we view people special needs.
Yeah, that's very interesting because one thing we've been trying to do is to work with colleges because I believe the change has to come from there, right? That when and it's not just about psychology students, though we do have a lot of psychology students who volunteer with us. It's about um, advocacy, awareness, all that. But I think the age group, if we change, what a whole bunch of teenagers or young adults perceive people on the spectrum as, I think a lot can change, right? Yeah, so that's something, I'm thinking this whole panel and a whole bunch of you will make a great group for us to brainstorm our programs with, right? So you're gonna hear from us about that. Yeah. All right. Okay. So the next bunch of questions we're going to do, we'll keep it a one sentence answer. So take your time. All right. Take a couple of moments after I ask the question, or say whatever it is, and answer it in one sentence. I say this because we are slightly on limited time. Yeah. And then at the end of all of these, if you want to discuss something, we can come back and discuss that. Okay. All right. So again, optional as long as you're comfortable answering these. Okay. In the context of sibling and family, I love it when dash.
I love it when we all get to sit down together and again eat nice food and listen to like old music from when we were kids. That's fun.
I love it when we go on long drives together, just us four, and go on treks together, be one with nature.
I love it when we are having those relaxed evenings and everybody's mood is like completely happy, nobody's upset at all. And we all are just talking, teasing somebody, pulling somebody's leg, eating good food. So that's nice.
I love it when we're all emotionally settled and there's no tension that's going on at that particular moment.
I love it when we go for long walks and listen to good music.
I love it when we all go for vacations together, and Sachin's also, I mean, my brother's also enjoying.
I hate it when, or I dislike it when. Okay, I know hate is a strong word, just casually used. I hate it when, or I dislike it when.
I hate it when I'm trying to tell my parents something and they don't rationally think about it.
I hate it whenever my brother is in pain or has a meltdown because he's non-verbal. He often can't express his needs. So can't because he doesn't know how to communicate. It's difficult to find out what he needs. So I really wish that you know that kind of pain wasn't there in his life.
I hate it when I have to hide aspects of my life which I would otherwise need help in, but I just have to because I don't want to burden my parents or my sibling with it.
I dislike it when there are certain aspects of my life that I would normally love to share with an older sibling, but I can't do that in fear that my sister will either misinterpret, go tell my parents, or that she will think that that is something that she should be doing too, and then engage herself in an activity like that, which is not necessarily bad, but is not something that we have necessarily prepared her to.
I hate it when I lose my temper on my brother, because ultimately later on I will feel guilty about it and go and apologize. And also, um, when I'm not able to help him that much, when uh, like he is unable to, express what he wants.
I hate it when he cries because he doesn't have friends. Like just 2 weeks back, I had a friend's birthday where I went to, and like both of us love clicking pictures, like me and my brother. So he was seeing my gallery and he saw this video of all of us in a car and screaming and singing. And like I never tell him usually if I'm going out with my friends, otherwise he gets very unsettled. So he didn't know where I was going. And when he realized that the schoolwork for which I was going was actually a friend's birthday party, he cried a lot. Like that was the first time he actually verbally expressed that he doesn't have friends, and that all the friends which we tell him he has are just his classmates who do not really care about him. So that day I cried for hours. So that is definitely one aspect which I hate. Yeah.
Scenario, I feel embarrassed when. I feel embarrassed when.
Brother was going through puberty. He was really like irritable, and he'd have a lot of meltdown in like public scenarios, like in a restaurant or during uh, public travel, or even when my friends are over and my brother has a meltdown. They're kind of like shocked, and I know I shouldn't feel embarrassed about it, but I can't help but feeling so because I can feel the judgment.
I feel embarrassed when I have to share something personal about my life which otherwise my sister would not understand.
I feel embarrassed when I'm talking to a friend on the phone, and in the background, my brother would maybe cry or like scream. So, and people would wonder, okay, who is that?
I feel embarrassed when I'm put into a social situation that I don't know how to react to and that I end up being awkward about because I have never experienced it before because my parents have in a sense protected me from that sort of an environment or that sort of a situation or have never like not really never facilitated me or something that I don't feel comfortable sharing about them with, so they haven't helped me with the situation.
I feel embarrassed when my brother does something unexpected in public. For example, but this is last year, we had gone out somewhere and we were in a restaurant. We were just walking in and he picked up somebody else's food and he started eating it. So, in certain situations like that, you feel embarrassed.
I think I feel the most embarrassed when we have people around us, like they could be the extended family, like, some cousins and everything. and or it could be in public and he has a meltdown or he starts saying things which are not expected out of an 8-year-old. So, and those tantrums and those screaming matches. So that is definitely something to I'm embarrassed about.
Okay. And yeah, I do want to discuss something here. So, while it is probably easier to express conflict or anger to a parent or maybe to somebody around you, I think embarrassment is one of the most difficult things to share and deal with. Yeah, primarily because it's difficult to explain sometimes, right? So how do you deal with this? How would you deal with this feeling? What do you do?
I
Nothing.
generally, yeah, same. Like, I generally don't talk to anybody about it because I know that if I tell somebody, they'll just be like, no, it's supposed to be like that. You just have to adjust and deal with it. Like, these things keep happening. Like, I know that these things keep happening, but am I not allowed to feel even like the slightest bit embarrassed about it? It's like that, kind of.
I try to mock the situation and laugh about it, so eventually I don't feel embarrassed about it.
If they would ask me, then who is it? Then I would say, I would just tell them, why hide? I would just say that it's my brother and he's just getting upset, and there's nothing to hide about it. So I would just change the topic.
Usually I either try to joke about it if I can. Uh, like the other day, I think I don't really remember what he did or what happened, but basically he was screaming. So I decided to turn it into a joke, like, yeah, he did that, ha 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 ha, funny kid. Like, those kind of things. I try to divert the topic or usually, but the thing is that I'm just trying to pretend that it's a joke when it really is not. Like, inside of me, I am embarrassed. I should not be embarrassed. He's my brother. I love him, but I am. So usually I try to ignore it. Like I don't think I've ever talked to my parents about that and I don't intend to.
Same. I don't think I have anybody to express this to because they wouldn't get it. If I talk to my parents, they'd be like, we're trying our best, and these situations happen. And in that particular situation, they're too busy on trying to calm my brother down or make sure he doesn't repeat that behavior. That's the first thing on their mind. And, what other people think is kind of secondary to them. It doesn't really phase them anymore. But I guess because I am a bit more out in society than they are now, I kind of feel the embarrassment more. Um, yeah. So I've never really expressed it before to anybody.
I
Usually
think
keep it in.
it's I think it's also a really fragile situation because as much as you try and make a joke out of it, if your sibling sees you making a joke out of it, they're going to think that it's okay for them to do that again because it's something that humors you. So they might do it again as a sense of like, oh, it's making her laugh, let's just do it again. So it is a very fragile situation to navigate around, I think.
Yeah. So I'd like you all to try something. Okay. So all of you unmute yourselves. Okay. Nivritya, yeah. All right. Okay. I want one of you. Let me pick somebody. Okay. Dia, I want you to just say to the other five, something happened today and I'm really embarrassed. Okay. And I want the five of you to chorus and say, we get it. We totally get it. Okay. And I want you to say all this with conviction. Let's just see how it feels. Okay. All right.
Like, I
Yes,
have to say
Dia, go.
an incident, right? Like
No,
some.
just say something happened today. Let's just play the scene out. Okay. We don't need a scenario. Just bring up something, some emotion in your head and say it with that. Okay. Don't share the scenario. Just say, oh my gosh, I was really embarrassed, or whatever, however you would say it. And then I want all of you to just support her. Yeah. By saying, oh my gosh, we get it. Okay. And let's see how that feels. Just get into that emotion, all of you. And I want to see how that feels to each of you. Okay. Yes, Dia, go.
Guys, something happened today and I feel very embarrassed about it.
We
That's
get
okay.
They
it.
totally
Get it.
get it.
That's
We
absolutely
completely
normal. I
understand.
get.
The same thing happened to me.
You can tell us more.
Okay, I think all of you needed some more dramatics into it because all of you are just going to start laughing at this. Yeah. But do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I think, especially with embarrassment, you can only relate. Only people who have been in similar situations can really relate to what you're feeling. And the only thing you actually do to deal with embarrassment is to just bring it out there, right? Is to just put it out there, and people just saying, oh, we get it. Let's try the rest of you one by one saying we get it, and you don't have to use those words, just say it in your own way. Support Dia on this. Go.
Guys, something embarrassing happened today, and I really just don't know how to deal with it.
It's okay, we're here for you.
Yes, we get it.
We
Yeah,
get it.
it's
We're with you. It's okay.
We're in the same boat. We love you. Tell us more.
So now tell me, how does this feel? I mean, do you think this makes any difference if you
I think
actually
it
played
makes a
out a
world of
scenario?
a difference. I think it makes all the difference. Because you just don't want to feel like you're alone, or you don't want to feel guilty because of the fact that you feel embarrassed.
Yeah, so that's something I also want to comment about. When one of you was sharing, I think it was Vernika, she said, I shouldn't feel embarrassed. That's not true. You're entitled to your feelings, right? That doesn't reduce your love or your affection for your sibling in any way, right? It's not going to change the larger picture in any way. You are allowed to feel whatever it is you're feeling at this moment, whether it's frustration or embarrassment or whatever it is, right? And that being acknowledged to you, I think also makes a difference, right? When a bunch of people around you are telling you it's okay to feel embarrassed, I would too in that situation, right? So, I think to me that sounds like it'll make a difference. What do you all think?
I totally
Definitely.
agree with this
Yes,
because
definitely
many
does.
times you don't need solutions. You just need an ear who can listen to you and maybe agree with you and not try to interject that no, that is not the case. Arey nahi baba, this can also be done. No, just like stay quiet and listen to me and tell me that you get it.
I
So
think that's
yeah.
the biggest support system anybody in the same place as us can have, honestly. Like, sometimes you just don't get that from your parents or from your friends. That I think it really is the biggest support system we can have at this point.
Yeah, I think what happens when you're talking to a parent about it is the parent feels obliged to defend the other child, right? And hence does not make a good listener. And with a friend, they will not be able to relate to what's going on. If it's another family member, again, maybe they're trying to get into a defensive mode, or they're saying, "Arey Baba, just forget about it," and they try to distract you, right? And none of these strategies help with a core emotion, right? You want to just bring it out there, and all of you are perfectly capable of dealing with it, right? The only thing that doesn't necessarily work is just pushing it down and swallowing it, and that can just build up into a different level of frustration, right? Okay, great. All right, let's lighten it up. The next scenario, I have great fun when, in the context of sibling relationships, I have great fun when.
Both of us are singing. Like, I love singing, and he's not really good at it, but he has the musical sense and he loves singing along. So, like, both of us scream our lungs out. Like, last night, we had a whole karaoke thing. And my parents didn't know about it. We were supposed to be sleeping, and then my mom was coming in and being like, "Kal school hai, kab so gaye, ye hai, wo hai." But then we have got our fun. I mean, we love it.
When me and my sibling are listening to music together, that's something we do. It's like bonding, and we also just have like silly times together, and we both are just laughing like uncontrollably. Yeah.
I love it when me and my brother are laughing at something together and we're actually connecting.
My sister and I, we like to have dance parties in our room. So from like 9:30 to 10:30, we'll just like blast music and have dance parties, or we like sing music together, or we like to cook together and have. My sister's favorite thing to do is have a movie night too. So yeah.
I think for me, it's that me and my sister watch a lot of movies, and we love keeping track of the music in those movies. So every once in a while, we play this pop quiz where I play a song track and she has to guess which movie it's from, and then she tries to tell me. She does the same thing with me, so we do that.
Yeah, I have a great time when I actually agree with Varnika because both of my brother and I also love singing. I also just love singing, and both of us are, you know, playing on the Casio and singing to different songs.
The first question is, if your sibling had their own friends circle to hang out with, what is the difference you think it would make?
I think it would definitely make me feel less guiltier for wanting to do things with my friends, like phone calls, going out, even just watching movies with them. Like it would just genuinely make me feel less guilty, and I feel like I would feel much more carefree than I do now.
I would feel very, very elated and happy that he has at least some friends who they can communicate with each other in their own ways.
Yeah, the same. I feel like even though my brother is nonverbal and he can't communicate, he's a very social person in his own way and he's very happy-go-lucky. So it would make me very happy to see him have his own group of friends and, emotional and social support, I guess. So he'll be fulfilled in that aspect.
I think 95% I would be the happiest person ever because it's one of my biggest regrets, and seeing him with friends would actually make me feel like a proud mom, if it makes sense. But I think the other 5% of me would always be wary because I think he's very innocent, and I would always be concerned that people do not take advantage of him, or there's not some ulterior motive that they have to be with him. Because like I think even us being neurotypical people, we go through a lot of uh, friendship losses, like people use us, and I mean it's a very complicated world out there. So I would just be a little concerned that he doesn't go through that. And I think the second is a little childish, but I would feel a little insecure that the standing which I have, he would replace me. So I would be a little insecure, but of course, 95% I'm all happy.
Yes, I think I'll be equal parts concerned about her safety and also happy that she has a place where she can go and meet people and went out the same, like the same requirements that I have. She also has those, and those requirements are also met with her friend circle.
I'll be extremely happy if that happens. And also, I'll be guilt free when I'm hanging around with my friends because most of the time it's like that only. Like, I'm hanging around with my friends, and it's like, I need to go back to my brother, I need to do this. So, that'll be very good.
Yeah, I find that my sister is also a very social person. Like she gets along with almost anybody and everybody easily. But like I've noticed nowadays she feels this little sense of loneliness, especially because of COVID. Like there's only so much time that she can spend with us also as a family. Like I try and spend as much time with her as I can during my free time, like when I'm not in class and stuff. But she also like gets sick of the rest of us. She's sick and tired of my mom and my dad and me. And that I feel like she needs that set of people who she can just, go and be friends with. But I do agree. I would feel a little bit concerned.
Just right now, if each of you could be the head of an organization, okay, and and have unlimited resources, uh, available to you, what is the one thing you would put in place that would improve the life of your sibling? Again, Just today, you're the head of an organization, unlimited resources. Oh, we're jumping at ideas. Okay. All right. What would you change? Yes, Sudhir, go ahead.
So I have thought of this, pitching it into my college as well. Once I become, I mean, I'm planning to stand for student council and stuff like that. So I think I will work on being inclusive, because everywhere you have people talking about diversity is good and we should all be inclusive, and be it with other social topics like color of skin and gender orientations. I feel that this is also an equally important aspect which people should be concerned about, and people should take the effort to work upon. So, inclusivity, and with that inclusivity, ensuring a safe place, because again, people can take advantage of a lot of people with, like my sister, because they're innocent, they're things that they don't know. So, inclusivity and ensuring that there's no harm with all that power that comes.
I would probably make education about special needs people compulsory in all schools, because that would create a sense of awareness, and then that would eventually lead to an inclusive society.
Adding on to what Jay said, I think definitely adding an inclusive program where like neurotypical students are allowed to interact with children with special needs would make a lot of difference. Along with that, probably some sort of program to help with the future, like future planning, things like jobs and housing and things like that for children with special needs would not only provide them with the life that they want to live, but also would ease our shoulders a little bit. So then we would have that sort of like, okay, if nothing works out for me, there's always this for my sibling.
I think that a child learns the most till the age of 10, because by then you have a particular set of values and the way you perceive the world. Like, of course, it changes, but the basic thing is that. So I think that the education about people with special needs should start right from the beginning, and not something which they learn when they enter middle school, because by that time children are rather rigid and they're not even children with innocent minds anymore. I mean, I'll be honest, people are bullies. Like, bullying starts in sixth grade and so on. So, probably these things should start as early as possible, and interaction is a must. And, it's like that if they're growing up with people who have special needs, they would have a special bond with them. And they would want to, like, if not exactly be friends with them, at least they will have that protective nature. So, I think that would definitely help.
Um, I would ensure that there are, so again at Jay's point I was also thinking the same, but yeah, adding on his lines that I would ensure that in every batch, whether it be even a college or a school, there would be some or the other person with a disability, where then people can learn to also help that person, and so that they become more understanding also. Because I feel like, personally, from my own experience, when I was in my school, it is an inclusive school, but then at a younger age, like junior school, people were not understanding at all. They used to be very, nasty, and but gradually, in senior years, they became more, a little bit more understanding. But again, things like autism or like Down syndrome, people would really use it in a very colloquial manner, like, uh, kind of tell them ki, you don't know how they feel. So kind of also introduced role plays, where imagine if you were living with someone with a disability, how would you um, react to that, or how will you help them out?
I think almost everybody had said what I had in mind, but most importantly, try to integrate uh, neurotypical people into society, because I feel like ableism is a cause that does not have much support um, globally as well. Like, it's not talked about enough. especially disabilities that are not visible, like intellectual disabilities. So yeah, I would try to make sure that companies would be more inclusive into hiring persons with disability, try to create more job opportunities for persons with disability who aren't that bright and do more to say manual jobs like labor or small things like working at a restaurant or something. So yeah, creating more job opportunities and what Sanjana said, trying to create more plans for their future and creating housing and some kind of plan that will support them later on in life.
I think maybe even like just turning it into a topic that's not supposed to be so hush hush about is also a very big thing, because even in schools where there is inclusivity, like the certain disability, like depending on like which spectrum the child is on and all that, that's not really discussed as much. Like the awareness about that isn't really there. And I honestly, I see it in my like family too, like extended family. They're always so hush hush about the whole thing, like don't tell anybody because they're going to judge. It's a very like taboo topic, which I don't really understand, but that's definitely something I would probably.
Yeah, that's really some amazing insight all of you have into this. I think each of you, all of you would make the best ambassadors, to go out there and talk about this. uh, I would love to have a youth force in Mitra for Life. This is the first time I'm actually having a discussion with siblings. We have a lot of youth volunteers we work with, but I really think if we can take your ideas and start implementing them, because I love the idea about making this a part of education. And I agree, I have seen 6, 7, 8 year olds who once they get used to somebody on the spectrum, they're very comfortable, right? They're not judging from the brain, they're just accepting and saying, hey, I mean, I get it, or they don't even have to get it. They just are happy to go along, play along, just say hi, whatever, right? So I love your ideas, and I believe that if a sibling network can come together, right? Not only will you all support each other, but you can also be leaders for change. What would be great to see as a change even in the next 2 to 5 years is families being able to talk about it more openly, right? I mean, you should anybody should be able to stand up and say, hey, this is my sibling, right? And if I mean, this change can happen, and I believe your generation is you are the people who can make it happen. Yeah, so we're looking forward to doing a lot with you. Yeah, and thank you. Yes, Varnika.
Mom, before this all comes to an end, I would like to say something to the audience we have today, that dear sir or dear mom, if you're a parent watching it, please know that you're doing a fantabulous job raising your children, and your children are so 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 proud of you. And I've seen my parents crying that they're not giving me enough attention, or maybe they're not being the parents that they should have been. Please don't beat yourself over it. You're doing all that you can, and that is what that really matters. And your children and all of us are so proud of you, and thank you.
Yeah,
You
honestly, it's to raise a child with special needs itself is a big thing, and then on top of that, you have to deal with us. Like that itself is just really like I really don't have any like words to describe it. Like it's a huge task, and they're doing so well. So I mean, look at how all of us turned out. I think we turned out pretty well.
what I want to say to you guys, I was going to do this. If we were doing this on a real platform, all of you would have got a nice pat on the back. So let's just do this. Your right hands up, all of you, straight up. Yeah, to your left shoulder. Give it a nice, good tap. That's from me and everybody in the audience. Well done. We are so proud of you. I mean, I don't think when we even envisioned this program or this conversation, I really expected so much insight and so much sensitivity. Yeah, uh, I know it's all the good and the bad and the difficult and the awesome, everything rolled into one in your lives. But here's wishing you all the very best, and you'll you'll definitely be hearing from us soon, because I want to come and hear a lot more of your ideas and see what we can take out there, very soon in the next few months and implement. Yeah. Yes, Dia, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it short. Uh, to all the siblings, say that to all the siblings that you're not alone whenever you feel that uh, that nothing is going in your favor. Know that we all are there, with each other as siblings, and you can always reach out. There's nothing wrong. And even parents, I think you guys should, as I had mentioned earlier, you should put take care of your own self as well. And it can be difficult sometimes, and it's okay to feel upset about it, uh, but you can fight this.
I, for one, am very much looking forward to taking this further. It's always been something that I've wanted to do, but I just never really knew where to start. So I'm looking forward to this, and also I like exactly what Dia said. Just copy paste. Like, y'all are doing a great job, and you're not alone. And there's always another. There's always the other side is always there.
I just want to say that I'm really proud of everybody here. And I want to the parents, I want to say that I'm really proud of you guys as well. You're doing such an amazing job. And yeah, if I'm really looking forward to having a sibling network. It's something that I've always dreamed of having. And I feel like might be the only place where I can truly be understood and be myself completely, which is something that is really valuable. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I just like to say that coming into this, I was very apprehensive and nervous that this is something new. This is something which internally I feel inclined to do, but also past experiences tell me, just stay away from it. So when my mom asked me to join this, I was very, not gonna lie, I was a little upset that I was even asked to join this. But now that I've joined it and I've been through it, it's something that's refreshingly really nice. And yes, definitely, I'd like to contribute more to this anytime, any way I can do, any small way I can do.
This was a great session. I really look forward to take this forward. It really helped me clear up my mind in a big way.
So interestingly, something that Sudhir brought up, I think one thing we're going to have to work on, and is to convince the neurotypical sibling that they need this, because there's already so much heavy serious stuff going on, that I know when people talk about support, the image you always have is more heavy stuff. Arre, phir se rona padega, arre, kuch to nikalenge. It's like, it just feels like you're bogged down even more, and like, why on earth would I talk about it, right? But then, so here's my request to all the parents out here also. If your neurotypical child has not watched this, do encourage them to watch it. And of course, we'll get back with the group, with this small group, and figure out how we can sell this concept, because somebody needs to. You have to just take that one small step and say, okay, fine, maybe let's just give it a try. Yeah. And then yeah, let's go with that. I like the emojis. Go with that. We should have one screenshot of saying, people, try it once. And absolutely, people. So, I mean, thrilled with the conversation today. You've, it's made me feel really nice talking to all of you. There are times when we're trying to come up with some programs or do something where it's just the beginning of change. It's like one small seed or like one small spark, and sometimes it feels like it's going to be really difficult to create change. But I think with all of you on board, especially your generation on board, with your enthusiasm and with a lot of, I think, resources at your fingertips. Like I find people talking to me like we're going to uh, employ technology in this, and like technology to you guys is like breathing, right? I mean, so it's just so natural. We shouldn't even be talking about this. It just has to happen, right? So really looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, you absolutely wonderful people. You gave us a great session today. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for having us.